Okay, we've started. Oh, let's start that again. Hang on.
Take two.
Take two. Good evening and welcome to the Manchester is Blue show. Another question. Now, this is a really tough one for me, and I'm still very much on the fence. I've kind of got an inkling of where I want to go, but I want to hear your opinions on this. This is, who would you prefer to have, Yaya Toure or Kevin De Bruyne, both in prime? Now, the tough point with this is Kevin's not finished yet. Kevin's got a load of time left playing. So we're kind of taking him as we just have to take for granted that he's in his peak now, or whatever he's ever been brilliant for us. Dan, I'm going to throw this to you, pal, because I've got a good idea of where I would go, and I'll tell you that afterwards. But I'd like to hear where you'd go, Dan, and why.
I think that is probably one of the tougher questions you could throw online of who would you say is more influential, Company or Silva type thing. It's one of them questions that there's no right answer. It's just based on opinion. I think that's what it comes down to. Me personally, on top of their game, on top of their form, top of the chart, Yaya for me. The only reason I base that on is Yaya can become part of a team in focalness towards. He can instigate the tempo of play. He can. It's hard to describe how he could influence the game more than De Bruyne, because I'm not taking anything away from De Bruyne. That's what I mean by the question's really hard to answer and get their opinion across, because a lot of what you can say about one player, the other player does as well. And I think that's where the opinion part comes into it. There's no right or wrong answer. But for me, Yaya just offered that drive for me. Kevin can switch off in games. He can have some proper poor games. Not that Yaya couldn't, but Yaya could make a lot out of nothing. He would smash teams running forward. Kevin, hands down, the better playmaker, hands down. Yaya would destroy teams with his presence in them, but that is the only thing that I can't add on to much more. That is literally why I've chosen Yaya, because he was a brute, great free kick taker as well. But that's the only thing that pushes Yaya ahead of me. I'm not taking anything away from De Bruyne.
Tough one, isn't it? Brian, what's your thoughts, pal?
I'm not answering you, mate. I'm just going to forget it. Too hard. No, I'm a De Bruyne fan, but I just want to say the reason why I find it so hard is because it's like a horses for courses thing. Yaya was the reason we won a lot early doors.
Yeah.
You know, and he will always be responsible for that. If there's one player I've ever seen with the grit, there's only two players that I've seen with balance like that. Thierry Henry is the only player I've seen that I watched live that it seemed like time stood still when he got the ball. It seemed to slow down. It was like beautiful flowing. With Yaya Toure, the ball could come at him, and any foot, it'd just be his body as shit as he passed, and his short passing, his angles and stuff, and his body weight was always perfect. And that gave him the spring then to be like this monstrous attacking midfielder. So that for me is he is the best at that we've ever had, and that is saying something. We've had David Silva in there, and we've got De Bruyne now. This
is definitely going to be a really good question to ask when Kevin retires, because he's got a lot of seasons left.
I like the reason why I've chose De Bruyne is our philosophy's changed, and that is all partly down to how De Bruyne has been for the last 5 years. He is our most dangerous player when he's on it and he's got the ball at his feet. I always think back to that assist he gave Leroy Sané from the right wing that went for across the whole back five.
Yeah.
Through two players on the wing. Yeah. He has got that's something that he's got in his locker that no other player in the Premier League has got. And I don't even think Yaya Toure had that. You know, and that right now is instrumental to the way we play. He's got the same traits as Yaya. He can drag us forward. But having his ability to change games, to put passes, you know, on a sixpence, he has that, and he has that in his locker for 90 minutes. You know, and for me, having that sort of player in this sort of team, I find that he'd be more. I don't think Yaya Toure is be as effective in the team we've got now as De Bruyne is now. So I'm basing it off now. When he retires, maybe we can look back and change my mind. But for now, De Bruyne stands out for the way he's our engine. You know, he is, and he's kind of worth two players. And he's on the pitch. He's worth two players. He's that good that he commands the attention of the team to make. You can't stop him. He'll pick a pass out of nowhere. You know, he does drive with the ball like Yaya. He's obviously not as physical as Yaya, but he does drive with the ball. And there's one thing that I like about Kevin De Bruyne that nobody really talks about. He's got some bite. He's a bit spiteful, and I like that. You know, he'll go into a tackle. He don't care.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter. He's on the peak of his powers, and he's just going to get stuck in, and he tries his very best. Might not always be the best, but he tries, and he can have a bad game, but you look at his stats, he's created 5 goal-scoring opportunities from a mediocre game, and I think that is more vital to us now.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Yaya Toure, for me, was a traction engine of a player. One side of me says Yaya for me because I have never sat on the end of my seat ready for Kevin De Bruyne to run with the ball. Every time Yaya Toure got the ball in the midfield, I'm like, go on, Choo, absolutely run at him. And I tell you, and it excited me. Just to give you some stats for Yaya, he had 8 seasons with us, which is phenomenal, really. Won 3 Premier Leagues, 1 FA Cup, Charity Shield, and 3 League Cups. So what's that? That's 8 trophies. Now Kevin's won 8 trophies with us in 6 seasons. 2 Premier Leagues, 1 FA Cup, 1 Charity Shield, and 4 League Cups. We can't base it. If I could mould the two players into one perfect player, it would be Kevin De Bruyne and Yaya Toure, and just purely for the energy, the burst of power, the strength. He used to be like a bowling ball, didn't he? Going through midfield and going through defenders to be able to do that. The 2 different types of players, Kevin De Bruyne's range of passing, his ability to captain, the lack of idiot agent massively makes a player as well.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to mention as well. He
doesn't open his mouth.
No drama. That's one thing.
Yeah,
that's one thing that's soured. That's one thing that I'm kind of upset about. Yaya, it's a bit soured in it. You know, for City fans that have followed the club for years, you kind of always know now you'll be associated that Yaya had a bit of drama in it.
Bit of birthday cake. Yes, there's always a
bit of drama, a bit of something. You know.
And there's nothing like that with Kevin. Just to give you
nothing yet.
I don't think. I don't think there will be.
I don't know, do we? That's the thing we don't know.
So Yaya played 316 games for City. He scored 81 goals. To give you an idea of win percentages, win numbers, he won 200 games, drawn 52, and lost 64. And Kevin's played 252 games, won 171, drawn 39, and lost 39. And scored 63 goals. Now, I would say those stats are pretty irrelevant, to want for a better word, because I think we're a better team than the team that Yaya played in. Now, I think we've got a bit more. I think Pep's a better manager than the manager we've had when Pellegrini managed Yaya. Pellegrini and Mancini, wasn't it, if memory serves me right? Did he have anyone else as manager?
No,
I don't think he did. So for me, yeah, I'm urging the side of actually. Kevin's got so much time left. He's 29. He's probably got another 3 years at City. As long as he signs that contract, I'll be very, very.
I think
happy.
you're probably looking at another 5 years of De Bruyne.
How old was Silva when he finished?
35.
Right. Well, there you go.
That's the level, innit?
Yeah, he's got another 6 years left.
And he's got that in him. And even if he loses, even if De Bruyne was to lose a yard or two of pace, I always think
the passing
position. You look at the career David Beckham had until he was 38, playing in these Paris Saint-Germain's, AC Milan's. He was still the best dead ball specialist. He was still the best passer, and having a De Bruyne who would sit a bit deeper and just dictate play, becomes a different player then, doesn't he? And he could do that all day. He's a fit guy. He could probably play to his 40 doing that.
Can I just say one more thing about Yaya before we move on, though?
Please do.
One word I will always, and I don't care what anyone says, associate him with, is underrated. He got the plaudits of being a great player, especially from City fans. But in terms of football players around the world, he was vastly underrated. That 2013-14 season, everyone always highlights. That is one of the greatest across any league I've ever had the privilege to watch or anything. One of the greatest single-player performances across an entire season I've seen from any midfielder, let alone attacker. He was phenomenal that season, but across his whole City career, including Barcelona, where he filled in at centre-back a lot of the time, vastly underrated for me.
I think your son Archie totally disagrees with you, and I think you're in for a right earful when you finish this. This
He's still
chat.
young. He's got time to agree with his dad. He's still very young.
That's why you're locked in the kitchen, isn't it?
He's got a bit of Yaya's in him. He's sulking a bit.
He has. He wants
He
cake.
got 2 birthday cakes for his. He got
cake.
so he can shut up crying.
So to answer the question, who would you prefer, Yaya or KDB? I think it's impossible to answer until KDB's finished his career. But I'm still inclined to say, if someone's going to put a gun next to my head, I'd say, do you know what? I think Kevin has done slightly more for us. I think he will go on to do more for us. And for a range of passing, I don't think, for a total range of passing from any player, I don't think I've ever seen a better one. I think David Silva's very good, but I think Kevin De Bruyne has just got that range of passing that could be phenomenal.
I think the way to sum it up is impossible, because, like, I can't remember which one of you two said it a moment ago, 2 very different scenarios in terms of teams and the leagues back then. The team was hell of a lot poorer in Yaya's reign compared to what Kev's in now, but a completely different league as well. There's only 3 teams maximum over the past 5 years that have been really in contention for the league title, and that's Liverpool, City, and United. Back when Yaya was playing, there was potential of Liverpool. There was Chelsea, obviously, a couple of times. We had Leicester in there, us, United as well. The league was much more open, and I think we see that with the points difference as well. The points in which us and Liverpool have reached in the period of 5 years has been it's never heard of before. And I think that's why, for me, it comes down to just opinion on the players, who you prefer more. I just think the word I'd use is impossible to compare.
You know, I don't know if you were ready to move on, Tom, but I feel like we are very, very, very lucky to have had these 2 players play for our clubs. You know, we're having this conversation about 2 of the Premier League's greatest ever players, and they both played for our team. You know,
phenomenal, really.
How lucky we have been spoiled with that. You know, just 15 years ago, 2 of our best midfielders were from the 70s. You know, weren't they? And now look at it. Now you're arguably talking about Yaya Toure, who's won everything.
I think you're doing a massive disservice to Kevin Horlock. To be honest, I think it's a disgrace.
Oh yeah, but you know what I mean, though. But like now, look how lucky we are to be discussing these 2 players that have played and not just had a few games. They've had exceptional careers at City.
Yeah, they have.
And we're very, very fortunate.
Very well said.
Let's not forget about one player in the noughties that deserves a good shout out, and that's Karadi.
I thought you were going to say Steve McManaman then. I was about to just come off.
Oh, God, you're joking. I'm not saying his name on this. Can't stand him now.